What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. And with all the craziness in the world, I think it's important for us to focus on all the good stuff in life. So let's focus on ejaculation mastery, mastering premature ejaculation, and how to become multi-orgasmic and solo practicing Tantra men. And we're going to get into that all with Alexandra Holovitz. Alexandra is a sexual empowerment coach. She is known for her holistic, passionate, and authentic coaching style. She works with high-achieving men and women to help them connect deeper with their soul purpose and pleasure by mastering their sexual power and emotional response to elevate deep joy and orgasmic potential in all areas of life. Her mission is to empower 1 million men and women through sexual liberation. And she believes real self-mastery comes through integrated sacred sexuality and embodying your true erotic essence. Her signature program is the Art of Mindful Masturbation. And believe you me, it was an awesome conversation. Be sure to check her out at alexandra.guru. Also got on Instagram at Alexandra_guru, YouTube Alexandra Guru, and all of these links are in the description below. So you don't got to look too far, guys. But guys, I know you guys will really enjoy this episode. I learned a whole lot, and it was just a great way for me to really learn more about, this subject, which I think a lot of you guys want to learn more about. And again, if you guys are interested in any one of those subjects that I mentioned above, she has lots of awesome courses that you guys can sign up for, or you can connect with her directly. Without any further ado, let's talk to Alexandra Holovitz. Before we get started, one more thing. If you want to get any PE gear, be sure to check out TotalManShop.com. That is TotalManShop.com. And use the promo code MHS2020. Promo code is MHS2020 and get 12% off. Be sure to check out their wide variety of all kinds of good quality PE equipment. All right? And that's promo code MHS2020 for 12% off. And the website, once again, is TotalManShop.com. Welcome to another episode here at the MasculineHealthSolutions podcast, where I am joined by Alexandra Holovitz. How are you today?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for the invitation. So lovely to be here.
Well, it's a blessing having you today. Tell us, Alexandra, what is it that you do and what is your specialty?
I'm a Tantric sexuality coach and hypnotherapist. I mainly work with high-achieving men who kind of stuck in their brain sometimes, and I help them to get into the body and supporting them in all sort of ways, like not just sexually, but when you support someone with sex, they can improve their whole life.
I see that. And what's one of the biggest issues you see with guys that are just kind of stuck in their own heads? Like, what does that stem from?
Yeah, so there's a lot of scarcity around showing vulnerability or expressing themselves, or even just being in touch with their own emotions, or having, stories about what the masculine man should look like. So those are the most, and also when we go down into the emotions, is a lot of the times they really put on the act because they really deep down afraid of rejection, or afraid of abandonment, or afraid of something, basically.
Almost living in fear.
Yeah, a lot of the times, but that's, I think, when you begin to be more conscious about your life and you begin to see that, you may be chasing something, but there is no fulfillment. So in generally, the client I work with, they are a bit older, so they are more in their 50s, 60s, and they are high achieving men. They got everything on paper, right? the nice car, the nice house, the big office, the beautiful wife, the family, everything, right? On
Yeah.
paper looks great, and then deep down they like questioning themselves, like, so that's it, like what else is out there, like how can I fulfill my life really, or is that really just like this missionary pose or one sex in a month kind of thing, or is that something more, like I could be. And maybe they heard about tantra, maybe they heard about multi-orgasmic, maybe they read something, and it's kind of tickled the brain, right? Like, oh, there could be maybe more, or wow, I never learned of this. No one told me how to do sex or how to enjoy my life or how to relax into sex. And that's one of the biggest thing I also teach my clients, like actually like how to let go of the performance, right? Like how to let go of the mind, like I need to do something, instead just like taking nice deep breath, being more aware of like what's really going on with your body, and then just to be present for the experience, like whatever the experience going to be.
Yeah. So what's the first thing that you kind of get them on the road, I guess? Because as soon as they show up, it's almost like, hey, I feel unfulfilled. I'm kind of lost here. What are the first things that you kind of lay as far as the foundation goes?
Yeah, like usually man comes when they notice there is, you know, obvious sign that it's not working. So it could be like premature ejaculation or emotional abandonment or like really big fights in the family. So man, they generally come when there's an issue like really arising. So then usually we do like a bit of a consultation with them about the sexual history, relational history. So I get a bigger picture, like what could be the issue. But usually it's about like self-confidence, self-worth, or feeling like a bit more fulfilled. So it's really, there is no one thing
One
fits all
size.
kind of
Yeah.
answer for this. I know that you would like that, but I'm afraid that is always different. Obviously, like I have a signature program which I developed for men who are willing to go on the cycle, like maybe quit porn or quit the fantasy land and really just embark, really getting back into the body in the sense of the mindful masturbation, right? Which teaching you like the tantric principles, which is always working with breath, sound, movement, energy, and kind of like put it all together in the sense like going in a higher state of sexual experience. So the orgasm can last for hours or longer, right? It's not because generally like for a man, like it's really short term, it's like a peak orgasm, you just come, and usually after you become very tired. So one of the thing also that when you get older a little bit, right, like you feeling like you have less motivation to have sex, you maybe you're more stressed, you're feeling like, oh well, when I was younger I used to really love sex, I always desired and I always wanted, and now I kind of just like, well, I'm okay sitting on a sofa or doing things. So generally men like start to reach out for, you know, someone like me or a sex coach or tantra teacher when they kind of see that, well, my libido or my fulfillment is kind of dropped.
Yeah. And one of the videos that I saw on your YouTube that captivated me was how to do the whole mindful masturbation the right way. How would somebody go about doing that?
Yeah, so I have a course for, it's a 5 weeks course where I teach people how to embody, like working really with the breath, with the sound, with the movement, and also with, for example, for men, it's one of the things that is really missing, like the sound.
Mm.
So most of them, they really hardly express themselves, even, you know, emotionally. But when they are with the lady, or even if I would ask you, like, do you make any sound when you solo play? You would probably say no, right?
No.
So it's like 99% of the men would say, like, hell no, that's really embarrassing. Like, why would I make a sound when I make, you know, love for myself? But the question really is like the sound helping you to raise the vibration. And as we know, everything is energy, right? So
Yes.
we want to raise our vibration to a higher frequency. So actually, like not making any sound, it's not supporting your evolution, right? So the way that it always starts, that they would see some of my videos on YouTube, or they would see something, and that's kind of tickled the brain, like, oh, I never thought I could do something like that. Oh, there could be different. Or, you know, when you say, yeah, you can have 30 minutes, 1 hour, like full body orgasm, like what? Not only focus on my penis, really? And that's the other thing as well. I teach like conscious touch. So one of the module that we go through, like all the ways that you can touch your body, and really like exploring the whole body. And you know, a lot of the things that men, they really focus on one way, right? Like they watch some explicit material, they get excited, and then after they really focus on the coming part. But that's also triggering really, again, the performance. And a lot of men also, when they are doing that for a long time, or maybe they are not having a partner, once they get a partner, they really become very anxious. So they don't know what to do with the partner. Oh my God, now I cannot change the channel. The woman is all over the place. Like, what is happening here? So that's one of the things as well. Like I really mainly focus on the work, just to helping them to regulate the nervous system, helping them to really to slow down and to be more present, like whatever is happening. Because usually there is like a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of unprocessed emotion and trauma in the way that why you do this. Because once you understand that actually like your whole body is orgasmic, you wouldn't want to waste away, right? Like
Right.
your energy on something so fast is like, is the same example, right? Like you can eat in McDonald's or any kind of fast food, or you can eat a gourmet meal. Like
Mm.
why would you want to go to McDonald's?
McDonald's,
It's like, are you
exactly.
crazy? And we all have this ability, right? It's not something special, it's everybody has. So sexual energy is within everybody, it's given, it's, you know, it's just something that you need to kind of work on, and need to be like having a daily routine about that, to really, the easiest way to start, like put 20 minutes aside and
Mhm.
start to play with it. Like how do you breathe, how do you make a sound, how do you move your body, do you make any movement, or it's always a static way, that how you make love to yourself. Or when I say love, make love to yourself, do you think I'm crazy, or is it like, oh yeah, I make love, or you just really say, no, I just wank, right? So because that's the reality. Like
Mhm.
a lot of the time as well, like I use as well, like Louise Hayes, the mirror work, right? Like to just really stand there adoring, admiring, and complimenting your whole body. Like I really love my eye, I really love my chest, I really love my, and generally most men, when we start this exercise, they cannot say, I really love my cock, or I really love my balls, or I really love my ass. They will be like, oh, I really love my chest. I really love. I'm like, okay, great. So what about
Yeah.
the other parts? Right?
Uh, I could imagine, because it kind of comes down to the male ego too, right?
Yeah.
Which is something you kind of got to chip away at. But so you said that you start with the mirror techniques, and I was looking at your meditations as well. Is that also a form that you use to release, kind of like get in tune with yourself and start breathing
Yes.
and stuff?
Yes, yes. And also the other thing, that because most men, they are so focused on the mind, right? So they have very active mind. So the way that I also like to use that to hypnotherapy, because with hypnotherapy as well, like it's so easy to get there, because like maybe consciously you're denying a lot of things, that, oh no, I don't have problem with this, or like that. Or maybe you don't remember because you suppressed it, right? But with hypnotherapy, it's like so easy to go back, and then just to find where what happened to you, that maybe that was triggering you.
Mm.
And a lot of the times, if you've been brought up maybe religiously, or maybe that your parents, they never talk about sex, or like being, naked. It was something like, not accepted. Or maybe when you first start to explore your body and your mom opened the door and they're like, oh my God, what's happening? Right? So there could be a lot of trauma that your body or mind is like putting away, and like, oh, I don't remember this, I don't need this. And then with that, for example, if it's something, then we can go back and we can look at it. And then also I do for pleasure, so like guided hypnotherapy with pleasure. So it's about basically helping them to really stay in the process for a longer period of time, because also that sometimes in the beginning, it's very difficult for most men. When I say, okay, minimum 20 minutes, but you can go for an hour. They like, to do what, an hour? Right? So then it's helped them to, okay, there is somebody actively kind of guide them and talk to them and just giving the instruction like, okay, now take a nice deep breath and do this and that. And then it's supporting them a lot.
It's something that makes sense. But I mean, I can totally agree with that. It's like men are always we're always in our own heads, kind of just thinking about whatever, thinking about the next thing, performance, go, 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 kind of. And it's almost like learning to let go of that would be massive for all guys. And the one thing that I was thinking about, it was one of the YouTube videos that you have as well, with male orgasm versus ejaculation, right? Mm-hmm. Could you explain the two different concepts there?
Yeah, so basically the orgasm, right? Like if you have an orgasm, it not necessarily have to ejaculate, but most men, they really never make the link that it's two separate things, right? The orgasm happens generally in the brain, and the ejaculation happens in the penis. Mm-hmm. So basically, like sometimes maybe if you are conscious, you saw that you can feeling like really orgasmic, but it's not necessary to have to ejaculate. So before the ejaculation is actually 4 different stages. And then the good thing would be to raise yourself up to the 3rd or 4th level, which is like a high arousal, where you start feeling the sensation of all of the body, but then to stop before the no return point, so about like 80-90%. And that's when it comes into the Tantra, that you need to learn how to stop your body, in a sense like, okay, now like slowing down, taking nice deep breath, and just really sensing like, okay, why do I want to come, or what's happening? Because there's a lot of the time there is an addiction around the coming, right? Because they think that, okay, if I don't come, it's not good, or it's I'm not capable, or I'm not it's go back also in like subconsciously, it's about the reproduction, that men are designed to put their seeds, and then to reproduct like babies and everything. So it's like subconsciously also working there. But in Tantra, in Taoism, they always talk about that actually it's your chi, it's your life force, it's your energy. So you are, every time you are just kind of unconsciously like ejaculating all over, it's like you're wasting your seeds. Actually, you're wasting away your chi, you're wasting your energy. And you can just do a very simple thing like for yourself. If you never tried before, just try it. Like you can still do sex, you can still do masturbation, but for just 7 days, give it a try. That always like feeling the body, feeling the awareness, feeling the pleasure, the sensation, but just not ejaculating. Like to check your the whole presence, the attraction, the body energetic, you will feel like so unstoppable.
Yeah.
That's what happens, that a lot of the men, that when they first start to do like semen retention or the lifestyle, and I like to use that it's a lifestyle. Yeah. It's not like a to-do thing on your list, or something that, okay, I must perform again. Because if you think like that, it's a wrong mindset. Mm-hmm. So it's everything I think like we do, that it starts with really the mindset.
Really
Like,
starting off in the
why do
mind.
you want to do this?
Yeah. Which is super interesting because again, semen retention keeps popping up. And there's always people that say, like, because the thing that blows my mind is like they've been talking about it since the ancient times in Greece, Rome, and Empire. Like everybody always brought it up. But for some reason, I don't know why we have it so common now where it's just like, no, it's not real or it doesn't exist. But then you got a whole bunch of guys that are talking about how it's true. And obviously talking to you, you're telling me the same thing. Why do you think that in society they're more focused on just ejaculation and just kind of go? Why do you think everybody's just out here wasting their seeds all over
Yeah.
the place?
Well, if you think about it, like what kind of sex education you ever got? Nothing,
No,
basically, right?
not
Like in any kind of countries we go, like I am from Hungary, you are from the States, but anywhere, like I lived in UK,
Canada.
Canada. Okay. But it's no sex education, right? Like nobody really talk about it because it's been so long, like repression, that they always thought like, okay, you have to marry before sex or nobody talks and stuff. So I think it's just due to that fact that we are not yet, and now it's the awakening time of like embracing there could be a different way, there could be a different way that to live. But if you see that Taoism is basically for thousands and thousands of years, the Chinese, they already using this. And when you see the people, for example, they are the longest, some of them like hundreds of years and stuff. So there could be a miracle, right? Or like just coincidence.
I don't
So
think so.
yeah, and I think also that for some men it works, the semen retention. So for example, I don't like to be like, oh, semen retention is the only way to live from now on. Because okay, I think look, is very important the mindset. Like, why do you want to do it? Do you want to do it because you really think that it's good for your body, you get something out of it? Or again, you are suppressing yourself, like trying to fit some kind of, I must complete this, and now it's like 30 days and I go crazy. Because again, it's no point, because you are just doing against your body again, because you are repressing your body, your energy, your awareness, your consciousness. But if you do it out of like, okay, I'm going to give myself an experiment, like I'm going to see like how is my body. And for example, if it's on the day 5, you really strongly feel that your body would feel good if you ejaculate and you allow it, you shouldn't feel guilty about it, because if you're really consciously aware, like, okay, that's what my body wanted. And that's the other thing I don't like with this kind of people, that they are guys and promoting semen retention, that they are doing this shame culture around, like, if you don't do this way, then you are like fucked, or your wife. And I'm like, dude, that's again is shaming someone. They are like trying to learn something. So in my approach, I'm very like intuitive and very much like every person is unique, and every person should really feel like what is the body wanting. It's almost like the intuitive eating, but it's like the intuitive ejaculation. It's like you really should feel like, does it comply with my body, does it comply with my consciousness, does it comply with my awareness of like what is happening. And a lot of times also the other problem with guys, that they don't understand the energetic of the body. So they want to know how to not ejaculate, but they're harming their body because they are pressing it, they're doing stuff, but they don't.
Strong.
Exactly. Again, it's like force.
Yeah.
So it's again going back to the performance. Like, I need to perform, I need to be perfect, I need to control this. Okay, but again, is the problem is that you're doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I guess it's hard because you have kind of been brought up to always think about it from a performance metric, almost like I got to approach it like XYZ. If I do this, hit the formula right, I'm good to go. Right. So it's almost like in from what I'm observing, I guess it's more learning to let go and just getting in tune with yourself. Right. And as mentioned before, meditation was one of the ways that you go about it. But as far as sacred sexuality, how does that tie into to this?
Yeah. So sacred sexuality for me is like really embracing like the dark side as well. Like, so when we are talking about like, so if you are, we are giving the example for the semen retention, right? So if you are in this lifestyle, you are in this path, but for some reason, one day you woke up and you feel like, oh my God, I really want to binge watch porn. So that's like, right? Like it's considered dark side. Okay.
Yeah.
So then we are embracing our dark side and we are seeing like why is it happening again. So in the way that I always like to ask this, like really to be aware like why is happening. So for me sacred sexuality is to have the sexual broadness of like doing anything from kink or BDSM to up to tantra, because I think that the best sexual experience is that when you are embracing the dark and the light, you cannot do like, oh my God, now I'm just light. No, because it's not possible. This is the same, right? Like we cannot have morning without the night, or we cannot have masculine without the feminine. So it's everything in totality and wholeness. And the other thing sometimes I feel that what's happening with tantra as well, that some people only teach like, now that you are purifying yourself, now that you are the light, now that, okay, great, but what about the dark side? What about that I crave to do certain things, or I want to binge watch, or I want to do this, or whatever. So in the sacred sexuality, in my approach that I really like to teach, that everything is okay. Everything is okay for you, that to feel that it's putting you in the place of liberation and it's not causing harm to other people. I think that's like very important to be, that I am able to talk about like what is my desire and to be communicating like, okay, I would like to try this. And that's also another, shadow, for example, like prostate orgasm. So in the Taoism, there is a way, right? Like the prostate can hold a lot of shame, trauma, guilt, and again, homophobia, right? So again, you even laughed, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I don't know what.
exactly, right? But again, for the full energetic alignment, it's something to be unplugged, right? Because it's something also showing. So, for example, when I work with couples, I often explain in the way. So if the guy is completely closed, there's like no way here, and I don't want to do anything with my bum or whatever. So then I would always ask, so, okay, you are not able to open, you are not able to receive, but you are expecting your wife to be open and be receptive, right? So that's something again to think about, right? So I think is again something to be, and again with the prostate and everything, is something still taboo, something is a bit shameful, is something like, oh my God. But again, why? So is it have to be questioned like, have I tried it, or I just have an idea, an illusion that I think this. And then again, is it really mine, or I brought it, or I picked it up somewhere, like maybe in the church, or maybe in the family, or maybe with my mates we talk about it. So that could be like a shadow part of our sexuality when we are not fully embracing that, you know what, yeah, I'm a guy and I like it up there, or whatever.
Gotcha. So it's
And you
almost
don't
just,
have to be like gay, or you don't have to be, you can be completely straight and still love to have prostate orgasm, or love to have experiment, right?
oh, it's funny because I've talked to enough men that I work with, right? They're like, yeah, I went for my exam and something happened, man. Because they turn 45, whatever, and they'll be like, yeah, it was really weird, man. It felt good, but Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. But I mean, and it happens accidentally, which does mean that there's something behind all the stuff that you're saying, which is true, you know. And there's a large spectrum, and I guess that's where you come in to kind of make it all make sense.
Yeah, and then sometimes also, I think that the role could be like coaching, empowerment is to make social standards or, things that people think that it's not okay because they learned somewhere, just to
Hmm.
help them to make it okay, or make it like, okay, I'm accepted, or I loved it, and that's okay, and I'm still like a human being, or you know
A
because
hundred
I think
percent.
sometimes that is a lot of shaming, a lot of guilt going around with this type of things, and then again going back, like what a masculine man is. So am I still masculine, or what my wife would think about me if I come, home one day and I say, yeah, I want to wear lingerie and maybe have a butt plug in my ass, and okay, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's again the going down, like why do you want this, and communicating to
Hmm.
being able to express again, like assertively, and your emotions around it, like this is what's happening with me, and this is why I want to experience. And maybe sometimes is the fantasy is bigger, like that's often time as well, like maybe someone is really desiring something in their mind, but when they try it, they're like, oh god, that was great experience, but thank you, no thank you.
Yeah,
Right, so
100%. But it almost seems like you got to just, I don't know, I guess understand that stuff and know more about yourself. For that's the mindfulness that you talk about. And you say that you're also doing motivational or helping high performing men get to that next level. How are you doing that, and what does your coaching involve?
yeah, so generally when men comes, right, like the sexual arena is one thing when you cannot hide anymore. So but usually that thing that's bothering them in the sexual life, it's coming up in their professional life as well. So I help them really to get to the bottom of the things, like why they are not able to perform, or not able to ask what they really want. And sometimes also these men, they putting on a mask in the work,
Mhm.
but then actually at home they are completely different, and they are really lost in the translation, like how should I behave, because I learned to behave in the boardroom in a certain way, and this is what I think I am. So there is like an identity shift that we do a lot, like what is your ideal self, like how would you see yourself. And then in that process sometimes this comes up, but if I compliment my wife, or if I do this, if I do that, I would be weak.
Mhm.
So that's again, it's go back to the society and the upbringing, right, like what kind of man you really want to be. So I support them in the way, like self-discovery, and just to finding the goal that what kind of man they want to be. And then we bridge the gap between like where they are right now, pulling up the social mask, and where is the ideal self want to be in 3 to 6 months.
That's
And that could be
interesting.
a lot of things coming up, because what my experience is always that the sex is really the triggering thing. Because if you think about it, there, when you have a sexual issue, there is nowhere else you can go, because you cannot change your partner, because you're
Mhm.
married and stuff, right? But that's generally really just the arena or the showcase. And when you start peeling off, like, why is it happening? It's always the same
Because
issue underneath.
yeah, it seems like I mean the same thing with men. We and everything in this life. A lot of people just put band-aids on stuff. And it kind of seems that through your help and through the sexual arena, it's almost like you discover the fact that hey, there's some bigger underlying issues underneath it all. And then you're like, hey, wait a minute. You know, there's I can connect these two things, right? And it seems like that's exactly what you found.
Yeah, and also I think that most of the times, right, like the men, as they become more sexually empowered and they feel like they're becoming sex god, like oftentimes they are becoming more attractive, they are becoming more confident, they are becoming more magnetic. So even in their job, they're becoming more like, hey, this is me. And they are not taking so much of like, so they can get better boundaries, or they can stand up for themselves. For example, if they are like, oftentimes they are like managers or CEOs or something, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe before they were always like, yeah, but in order to keep my position, I have to behave in a certain way. And then I teach them also like how you can stand up for yourself but still be like assertive, like, hey, this is what I'm feeling, this is what's happening with me, and this is how I would like to go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot about the personal development as well, like what I do. And I think in a big box is more like the way that I like to describe it is like I'm a holistic sex coach, because I really work with the mind, the heart, and the cock. So it's not only like okay, it's sex.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they find me through the arena of sexuality, but once that we start really pulling off these sexual things, then it's always something else. Or it's very interesting as well, like for me to experience, like most of the high achieving men, they deep down they really can have a lot of self-worth issues. So
Yeah.
self-worth, and also to being in still like the little boy.
The inner
And
child. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so there is a lot of that as well that we do.
Do you use
Mm.
hypnotherapy in that sense as well?
Yeah, yeah. So in general, that's why I always say, like, I have a consultation, I go through like where they are, what they have tried before, where is the standpoint, and what they think that they want to achieve. And then
Yeah.
I will give them like kind of like a rough plan, but like I really like to go intuitively. So in the way that I think that it's kind of like art,
Mm-hmm.
because it's never the same thing. It's always like really individual, and I always like to work individually as well, in that sense. Like, I can ask you the question to see like how do you react, what's happening really deep down with you.
Mm-hmm. Which I mean kind of makes sense because if you don't know the root cause, you'll never really figure out why everything else is being affected.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes a whole lot of sense. And then the one thing I was going to ask in regards to that, as far as like semen retention, and I know I'm going to use the word performance as a guy, but how does that affect these guys? Not just so much like obviously in the bedroom and confidence, but when it comes to actually reaching goals and like moving forward, when you teach them that concept and they do it successfully.
Yeah, it's like they are tripling, or they are doing really amazingly. Of course, like you have more energy, you feel more clarity, and you feel like a rock star, right? So
Yeah.
how it not would affect you in a positive way.
Yeah, I guess it really can't. And
Mm.
so outside of like let's say semen retention and stuff, what are some other things that men can practice if they want to become higher achievers?
Hmm. Yeah. So is again, how would you define what is a high achieving man for you?
Well, let's say somebody, I mean, performance wise, obviously confidence, has to be a big one financially, I guess, getting to that next level. But more than anything, I guess mental development, like developing a stronger mind, more resilience, all the things that you need to basically do anything in this life.
Yeah. So I think like always about the awareness, and to be more like conscious about
Mhm.
your choices, conscious about like even the diet. Like for example, if you are someone who is eating really shitty food, then you can never get sexually well, because you are unfit, your body has a lot of toxins, and you are just not able to perform in that
Mhm.
sense. When it's like, so I would say that like diet, nutrition, exercise, and also the mental, so like doing the breath, sound, and movement, these are all together going towards like performing the best.
Yeah.
And probably like sleeping as well, like it's very important, right? So I think that's why it's you cannot see someone, it's just, okay, we are going to fix them in the sexual arena, because it's like all together, but like optimizing. And I think also to the nervous system regulation is very, very important to be able to hold. Because when I started first my tantric experience, like our teacher told us, like, you have to learn how to hold that much pleasure in your body. And first I didn't understand, like, what do you mean I have to learn how to hold? But you know, when you are being trained for so long, like for 10 years, 20 years, or maybe 30 years, just for having peak orgasm, which only lasts for 30 seconds or 1 minute max, you are the first time is shocking to have an energetic orgasm, or like, you know, something which is like, because it's going and going, and your brain is just blowing up, and you're like, oh my god, like, what is happening here? And a lot of the times then it comes the control, so they try to stop it, or they try, because they are panicked, they are not able to hold it in the body, right? And the brain said, like, oh my god, like, quit, 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 this is too much. So it's like an interesting thing to witness as well, like, okay, so what are the things that we can do to be able
Calm
to
down.
accept, and to be able to really surrender, like surrender that, yeah, it's still going and it's going, and to be able to, that's why very, very much, like, also my work is about like integrating the energy. It's not enough to be able to awaken the energy, but to be able to really circulate, and just to feel like it's going everywhere. Because otherwise, if you don't do it with somebody who actually knows what they are doing or teaching you, then, you know, you can feel like, oh my god, like my head is going to explode or something.
That's interesting, because like I've heard, and even like the multi-orgasmic man, I think was a book written by a tantra practitioner, right?
Yeah, he's a Taoist, Mantak Chia.
Mantak, yeah, that's who it
Yeah.
was. Where he was basically talking about all that, where I'm like, how does one capture this power? Like, you know, and that whole energetic approach to it. But
Yeah.
like, let's say if somebody's doing solo play, like is there a way to practice tantra on your own, tantric sex on your own, or
Yeah. With mindful masturbation. So
okay,
that's basically really like the first.
frequencies?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that's the first step, to really get into like setting an intention, like, why do you want to do this for yourself? Setting like a certain time. Generally, 21 days is really good, because 21 days requires minimum to get a new habit going on. So every single day, schedule your time, maybe 6 p.m. in the afternoon, or whatever works for you. But it's important that to be consistent, right? So then you schedule that, and then you start practicing. Like, you can read the book, the Mantak Chia book, and there is a lot of exercise in that. You can start practicing the breathing, the sound, the movement, the PC squeeze, and the relax. And then if you kind of feel like, okay, that's great, so now I'm ready to integrate it and put it to the next level, then you should definitely look for someone who knows what they are doing.
That is where you come in. Tell us about the courses
Yeah.
that you offer.
Yeah, so for men, I offer one-on-one for hypnotherapy and for coaching, which is like guided sexual pleasure coaching. So it's about the mindful masturbation. So I teach them how to take their masturbation to the next level. And also my signature course is the Art of Mindful Masturbation, which is a self-study course, and it's 5 weeks. You can do it in your own time.
Okay. And where can we find you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is the best place. So you can DM me. My Instagram handle is Alexandra_guru.
Nice. And I love what you got on YouTube. I love all the information you have on Instagram, and you were doing a fantastic job, Alexandra.
Thank you so much.
It was an absolute pleasure having you today. And any closing words?
Yeah, so I think that the best to start practicing. And as you asked, like, to beat the performance, to be patient and practice. That's like really, really important. And just to give yourself like a different way. I think 2022, it's an amazing year to be more conscious about your masturbation.
100%. On that note, we'll see you guys next time.